Movie Magic with Tim Burton, the movie maestro.
Hello, how are you? This week we're going to focus on a rather different sort of event. It's movie magic brought to life and transformed to the arenas of the world. Batman Live is from DC Comics and Warner Brothers, and it's like a live-action super-heroic spectacle of really fantastic scale. That's every bit as human, touching, and inspiring as it is spectacular. You think that may sound a bit sort of gushing? Not at all. It's one of these shows which it's so unique because you don't really know what to expect. The audience sits greeted by a 3D Gotham City landscape, complete with buildings, soundscapes, and video animations, setting the scene really nicely for the story to come. Then, whenever the show actually starts, with tremendous big orchestral music, cleverly composed by James Seymour Brett, you have like 100-foot bat-shaped LED video wall that comes to life with genuine DC comic graphic images, which look really, really cool. And then you've got the almost 50-strong cast of actors and circus-trained acrobats literally falling from the skies on ropes and clever sort of acrobatic effects. So it really is quite a dazzling celebration of stagecraft. I mean, pure showmanship by producer Nick Grace, who you'll know as the guy behind Mamma Mia and some really first-class award-winning West End shows. But let's hear from the man himself.
A lot of people I've interviewed over the years, they always say Belfast and Irish crowds, north and south, always give great response.
Yeah, I remember it fondly, especially from playing Mamma Mia at the Odyssey, and the audiences have really come for a good night out. And you know, I keep saying to the cast, you know, wait till you get to Belfast. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love the reaction. And I think also it works really well in the Odyssey because it's just, I know I shouldn't say the word intimate because it's an arena, but it has that intimate kind of feel to it.
You did like a pitch, like a classic sort of
That's
movie
right.
pitch to
That's
Warner
right.
Brothers and DC Comics, didn't you?
Yes.
Because you were obviously a fan as a kid and that sort of thing. So did they, out of interest, did they embrace it straight away, or did you have to do a bit of
I went to them.
persuading?
Well, I went to them about 2.5 years ago with this pitch. I went to Burbank Studios, and I thought, well, no one's done a live Batman show before. I'm sure hundreds of people have asked to do one. I'll give it a go. And I wasn't necessarily expecting them to say yes, but they did almost straight away. They said yes, and I think, looking back, because I didn't really think about it at the time because I knew what I wanted to do, but looking back, I think they liked the idea that I wasn't pitching for a musical, because you know, for me, it never occurred to me that Batman would be singing any songs. You know, that's just not. I grew up with Batman.
Yeah.
Absolutely, why would you do that? And secondly, I think we wanted to play in arenas, you know, make a big statement, because Batman is such a big superhero. We wanted to give him that big space to play in. And I think also we have this amazing creative team that I put together, which have a background in theatre but also in rock and roll. You know, they've worked with Lady Gaga, Rolling Stones, U2. You know, so they have this this ability to. Because it's not easy to put a show together in an arena in a big space like this, especially if you're trying to tell a story. You know, so the most important thing for us was the story. Because you can have lots of lights and lots of sound and lots of special effects, but if the audience don't embrace and invest in the characters and the story, then it's just a light show without any songs. And so we have a writer called Alan Heinberg who came on board. He's written for Sex and the City and Grey's Anatomy.
Great.
And he knows how to write about relationships, and he's also worked in comics before as well. And he was just the right person, and he's put together this really good adventure that's kind of a thrilling story that's compelling, and it's funny and it's touching, and you know, I see the audience and they are with the story the whole way through.
Which you want ultimately. But whenever you talk about the concept of the show, you were saying, you know, I mean, musical wouldn't work at all. But there's a lot of music to it. You've had a composer brought on board,
That's
right.
right.
A brand new score.
No, we recorded. It's like a cinematic score, and most of the evening, most of the story, there's an underscore, and there's dramatic music, and we recorded it at Abbey Road Studios with a 90-piece orchestra.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so the music, I think the music does what it should do. It just tells you what kind of emotions that you should be having at that time.
Yes, because as you know, the films in the past have always had very grand and stately scores, so that bigness certainly, I suppose, what you would associate with Batman, which is terrific. Narratively, there's a focus, isn't there, on the beginnings of Robin, isn't there? I think we see lots of circus acrobats, don't we? And we see him with his family.
I think the challenge when Warner Brothers said yes and DC Comics said yes, the challenge was what do we do? Which story? Because it's so rich in possibilities, and we decided to concentrate on the origins of Robin from circus performer to crime fighter.
Yes.
So because you can't have a story about everybody, otherwise it would take more than 2 hours.
No.
So we have all the supervillains in the show, but the main arc of the story is Batman and Robin.
So what, Nick, essentially will the show deliver? What's in store for both?
It's very easy. It delivers a good night out for people of all ages who want to come and see an event and a story, a thrilling story with lots of stunts and illusions and fight sequences and the Batmobile. It's a good night out for everybody.
If you're going to put on a performance about Batman, you can't not include Alfred, his famous sort of father figure. Well, John Conroy gives Alfred life and quite a commanding stage presence, and is no stranger to some fantastical sort of TV, theatre and film roles. Indeed, he actually worked with George Lucas on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. So here's what John had to say about playing alongside Bruce, aka Batman.
My theory is that Alfred Pennyworth, who was a lieutenant colonel in the army, and he was in the SAS, was probably invalided out and was a friend of Bruce Wayne's dad, and that he said, "Come, why don't you come and work at Wayne Manor?" As very much people did in the army, where they had Batmen. Curiously enough, that's what they're called, Batmen, who are valets, who look after people. They usually from lower ranks. So I reckon Bruce says in the show, Alfred was a friend of my father's in the army. And so that's, I think, why he came to work at Wayne Manor. And then when Bruce Wayne loses his parents, Batman takes over in the paternal role. As when Dick Grayson loses his parents, Bruce Wayne is almost forced to take over the paternal role for Dick Grayson. And so that's a little bit of continuity going throughout the piece. But he's also probably the inventor of Batman. He's a martial arts expert. The bit that I've tried to add, because funnily enough, I work as a butler when I'm out of work. So I've worked as a butler for 20 years in the City of London. And the bit that I've tried to add is the military demeanour, really, of Alfred and his outlook. You try to bring something of yourself to a role, and hopefully that's what I've done. Apart from that, he's not a complicated character, but he probably did invent this idea of having a crusader that stands up for right and tries to eliminate evil.
The listeners will hear as well that already we can hear that your voice is very commanding and perfect. So
I think probably I certainly make him quite upper class. I think he's not from the lower ranks. He is probably quite posh in his own right. So in that regard, with regard to a butler, it's sort of slightly unusual because he is from the upper classes and was a lieutenant colonel in the army. Invalided out seems the most logical conclusion as to why he's working for Bruce Wayne.
Right.
It's been a very unique experience, this, because I've never worked in such a huge piece. There's 43 in the company. There are 150 people on the move. When we move Batman, there's about 30 trucks involved. We're going to all points in Europe, from Copenhagen down to Milan, to Istanbul, to Lisbon, and all points in between. It's immense. It's absolutely immense. And it's very, very spectacular. So bear that in mind if you're thinking of booking tickets. This is sort of quite unique. You won't have seen anything like this before, because it combines circus skills. It's a play in an arena. That's a first. And we wondered whether people would listen or care. And the loveliest thing is that you see kids after the show and they said they really listened, they really cared about Dick Grayson's journey to Robin, and about what happens to Batman and all the characters. And that's the best compliment that anybody could pay us, is that they're very quiet. It's an arena show. People eat hot dogs, people drink drinks, but there's no walking around, there's no people going out and coming in. That surprised me. That really surprised me. I didn't know. I thought, God, they make so much noise. I bet this is going to be horrendous. Never once have we had that.
Oh, that must be really.
Yeah, it's
off-putting for you, isn't it?
But it's not. You're not in a darkened theatre. It's not. You're not penned in a seat. It's a different experience coming to an arena show.
But you're not ashamed of the Belfast, are you?
No.
You were at the Grand Opera House a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was there with the stage version of Porridge with Sean Williamson, who you might remember from EastEnders.
Yes.
I played
Barry.
Mr. Barrett Clough, who was the well-meaning prison guard who had terrible jokes played on him. I was there with Stepping Out, the play a long time ago, in 1987. Willie Russell play.
You could play that.
And I have very fond memories of my visit to Belfast. I went on a walking tour the last time I was there. Sean, one of the other cast members, was a friend of one of the tour guides. Right. And it's amazing when you get to a city and you sort of keep your head down and do your job. But when somebody says, look up, you suddenly see this different city. And that was very much my experience with Belfast.
Yes,
it was just
mountain.
yeah, and also the architecture, which you never sort of you just presume.
Yes.
When I think of Belfast, I sort of think correlated to Manchester. It's a very beautiful city, and we had a wonderful trip up to Bushmills and also to the Giant's Causeway, and then down to the Mountains of Mourne, and had some wonderful Italian ice cream. I can't remember where.
Oh, Morelli's.
There we go.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm looking forward to going to Belfast. We'll have a great time.
Terrific. Okay, John Conroy, Alfred in Batman Live. Good to meet you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tim. Come and see us, everyone.
Magic with Tim Burton, the movie maestro.
So Batman Live is in two parts. Act 1 focuses on Gotham City, the Monarch Theatre, whenever Bruce's parents are killed brutally. Haley's Circus is whenever we have Robin introduced to us with some incredible acrobats. Then we move with that huge video screen I was telling you about with DC comic graphics to Wayne Manor. The scene changes now to Gotham City Museum. The Iceberg Lounge is when we first are introduced to Penguin, who looks uncannily like Danny DeVito from Tim Burton's film, honestly. And then finally we close with more acrobatics with Haley's Circus. During the intermission, you'll be able to get some goodies and have some snacks and maybe buy some of the really cool merchandise on offer. And then Act 2 begins in grand theatrical style once again with Haley's Circus. Then we cut back to Wayne Manor, and then perhaps one of the coolest parts of the show, where we first are introduced to the incredible Batmobile. Your inner boy or girl will start becoming giddy because it just looks so cool. And whenever we arrive in the Batcave, you'll be introduced to the terrific Batmobile. Then we move to a kind of creepy part of the show, but it really is quite good. It's the Arkham Asylum courtyard, where we're introduced to the incredible Scarecrow on massive stilts, which for me was one of the best moments of the whole show. We're going to hear from Bruce Wayne, aka Batman himself, personified in the show by Nick Court.
How are you? All right?
Very good, thank you. Yeah.
Terrific. Now, what we want to do is just to get a bit of a basis, really, of what Belfast can look forward to experiencing in October. And for you, as an actor, now, I mean, it's quite an iconic character you're about to play, so no pressure.
Yeah. When my agent told me that I had an audition to play Batman just before Christmas, and I remember thinking, I am never going to be Batman, am I? And then, yet, here I am. It's sometimes, I was just saying before, sometimes I catch my shadow when I'm wearing the ears, and there's that iconic sort of shadowy image of Batman in a cape, yes. And I think, my God, that's actually me. This is crazy. It's great. It's very cool.
It's quite a big contrast from your previous roles, because you're very much sort of stage, theatrical, classically based, I should say.
Yeah, I've done a lot of Shakespeare, I suppose. Been at the RSC and the Globe, and the last show I did was at the Royal Court, and I was playing a sort of mad, sort of fascist Latvian politician. And I was doing that in the evening and doing the PR for Batman in the day. So it was one of the most hilarious weeks of my life. I was literally running around fighting the Joker, and then I was going home, going to work. It's just weird.
A total chameleon-like then, completely. Just essentially what is an actor supposed to be in just a day.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've not done anything. I didn't think anyone's done anything like this before. It's a cross between a play on a rock and roll stage. It's just huge.
It's like it is pretty much like a stadium rock tour, isn't it? From speaking to the guys, there's like 30 trucks, masses of stage crew. So it is incredible.
A lot of the backstage crew, and we've got several carpenters, but Brian and Casey are the two main guys, both American, and they work on rock and roll shows. Patrick, who did the lighting, works with Elton John and the Rolling Stones. I mean, it's that kind of scale that we're working with. And there's like 48 actors. Half of them are actors, half of them are acrobats. And it's just a real. There's so many elements come together to make this kind of extravaganza. I think that's been the problem with people don't know what it is because nothing's ever been done like this before.
Yes.
It's difficult to explain. Is it a musical? Yeah. I mean, it's not a musical. Is it a play? Well, it's not quite a play, but it's not. Do you know what I mean? It's a really it's a prototype, I suppose.
There's a market for it, isn't there? Essentially, because it is so unique and individual.
And then you see the architecture of Gotham City on the screens, and they use it all kinds of effects on the screen. We've got a Batmobile.
That's very important to say. That's right. You've got the original.
It's an original design by Professor Gordon Murray. And it's based on it's kind of like a sleek 50s F1 racing car, but it's matte black. It's very cool.
Very cool.
I can't lie to you, it's one of the coolest moments. And there's just lots of pyrotechnics and bazookas and guns, and there's lots of flying as well. We do Catwoman and Batman have this big aerial fight in the first half, which is very cool.
I was going to actually say, because the costume you wear obviously demands very careful sort of preparation and stage movement, doesn't it? And you've got this special rig to spread your wings and stuff.
Yeah, there's the costume. It was designed by Jack Galloway, and we worked on it. Well, they worked on it. I just basically complained. I said I can't move my arm, so they change it. I can't move my. So we've got it down, so it's actually movable because it's an incredibly physical show. Just because the size of the stage, you just have to get around the stage, and all the flying as well. But the only thing, it's just incredibly hot.
It must be.
It is very, very hot, and we have to get in and out of it. Like the most theatrical thing is, which no one ever sees, is the pandemonium backstage. I have to get out of Batman and into Bruce Wayne in about a minute. And there's 4 people literally ripping things off, and I have to look like I haven't been dragged out of a tree backwards, because I have to sort of look like Bruce Wayne, sort of cool, calm and collected.
Yes, of course, yes.
When all I'm doing is because I've just tried to get my suit on quickly. You always see Batman as just, he's very aggressive. Bruce Wayne has to be kind of like this to the world. He's a sort of a showman. He's kind of like a charming Lothario, but which is an act, of course. But when he's with Alfred, he's like, I try to play it like he's like a boy, because Alfred tells him off when Dick's in the Batcave.
Yes.
And I go all sort of defensive. That's the kind of thing I've tried to go for.
Yeah. But I suppose the best way to sum up this production would be boys and their toys to the max. Would that be a good way to...
Yeah, I think Alan Heinberg, who he wrote the script, he wanted it... The story is as much about Robin as it is with Batman, and it's about... And the reason he did that is because he wanted all the families and all the kids to come and see it and want to be Batman. So, and what we try and do is create this fantasy world that really draws, families and fans of the... I mean, it's really important that the fans of Batman like it as well. It's something I was really worried about, because you don't want to be you don't want to be the George Clooney of the franchise. And it's just so, and they've just done it by pulling out every stop. Kids come out of it, and it's amazing for me, because I'm not the crew, I'm not the designers. I basically come on, do 2 hours of work, come off, and get everyone applause me, and the kids look at me like I am some sort of demigod. It's this young kid called Billy comes up to me yesterday. He was so lovely. He's like, "Were you Batman?" I said, "Yes." "You were very good. May I have my picture with you?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he looked at me like goggle-eyed. It was
that's
crazy.
Sweet.
Yeah, really lovely.
Well, Nick Court, we're looking forward to seeing you on stage in Belfast as Batman and Bruce Wayne in October. Thanks for your time.
No problem. Nice to meet you.
Batman Live is at the Odyssey Arena in Belfast from Wednesday the 5th of October until Saturday the 8th of October, where it's showing 8 p.m. daily with an extra show on that Saturday at 4 p.m. You can get your tickets at ticketmaster.ie or from the Odyssey Direct, and you can go to the website batmanlive.com. It really is like nothing you've ever seen before. It may sound corny, but no, it's true, honestly. I think you'll be impressed. Here now, enjoy some of James Seymour Brett's currently unreleased music from Batman Live. Enjoy. I'm Tim Burton. I'll see you at the movies.
Magic with Tim Burton, the movie maestro. Your music, your station. Q Radio on 97.2 and 107.